It's Friday, Jan 22nd, recording a quick long I'm taking on the XIV. Expectation is that the market continues to go higher. You have an opportunity here to get long at the 1897 level, which is where I'm long now. Stop is at 1888. And as I'm just adjusting some things here, what makes this trade, I think, compelling is, and actually, I actually wanted to get long earlier. Just a bit of a backstory. I was eyeballing these levels here and looking to get long around 10 o'clock, right before the 10 o'clock news came out. We just had a news come out at 10 on existing home sales. I was going to wait for the reaction on the home sales number before putting in my order, and right at 9:59, before the order came out, my computer crashed. So it took me about, let's see here, came out at 10. I just came back online here. It took me about 7 minutes to get back up online. So we're filled now. It's moved +1 in our target, towards our target. So I'm going to move my risk to -1R. So moving my stop now to 1891. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly just make that update 1891 to minimize our risk. Okay, so just a bit of context now for the move. So our next level here we're expecting is 1907. That makes us +2R. And just a bit of context again. So the ES this morning, market's gapped up quite a bit. The oil has recovered quite a bit over the past couple of days. Well, it's all relative. It's still trading pretty low. It's still trading at $31, but it's been a good 2-day move from the lows of 27.10 around there. So ES this morning gapped up. I'm just going to draw my Fibonacci targets in here. Looks like my charts got all messed up after the crash here, so I'm just recover quickly as I just readjust some of my Fibonacci grids. Okay, so we're just going to measure today's Fibonacci projections. So we're taking the low from a few sessions ago and drawing that on. All right, and so what we see here now is that there's an opportunity of getting to 1922. That would be not an unreasonable place. It's that'd be a nice 20. Actually, we're trading out now at 23-point move from here. Right now we're basing right above the opening range high, so that's very productive for the ES. And on the back to the VIX again, or let's go the XIV since we're long that. Where we're basing right above the opening range high. Okay, the only caveat here is that we're a little bit far from this 5-period moving average. I'd want to see that actually closer. So maybe expect a bit of consolidation sideways until we can get enough kind of energy building up to resume the upside trend. If it breaks the low of this bar here, 1888, expect some sellers to step in, maybe flush out some weak longs before we break higher, because right now it looks like the expectation of the market is to go higher. I would expect that we at least hit this level here, 1920. That's the high from a few sessions ago, Wednesday session, and then we had this nice gap fill opportunity here back on Monday. So there's a gap fill opportunity there. Alright, and that gap fill would be in this range again where we could look for exits. Okay, so it's now 10:16. Quick update on this position on the XIV. Just got stopped out for -1R. Expected as much, as we saw it run into some resistance here, and it could not break out to newer highs. ES is also breaking down, so it pretty much coincided with that. I actually moved my stop up 1 penny Didn't feel like taking the full minus 1R. I thought the minus, one extra penny saved, extra penny earned, right? I figured it's gonna hit our price regardless there, and it did. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the ES quickly and that lesson there, as it's good to learn from your losers as well as your winners, of course. But as I mentioned, the ES, we saw that it consolidating at the opening range highs there. I said that was productive. However, we had a lot of space here in between, the price bar and the 5-period moving average, and I said in the previous update that you really need to expect it to have some consolidation sideways. But if the lows of this gets taken out, expect to see sellers come in and push it down, as you'll stop out some of the weak longs, and I happen to be one of the weak longs in this case. So we expect it to at least get back to the 5-period moving average. At this point here, it's you have to wait and see what's going to happen. But I would get interested again if it can once again break up above around here, break up, either consolidate around moving averages or consolidate right above or below the opening range high. So at this point here, there's nothing really to do but wait. And the same thing happened on the XIV, right? So the XIV on the 15-minute time frame, it consolidated a bit above the opening range high, but once the lows get violated, the low of 1888, if that guy gets taken out, you can expect even more downside pressure, as you have a lot of longs who probably put their stops like right below the 1888 level, probably 85, 86, 85 level, somewhere in there. So if that gets touched, expect a little bit of a extra selling, and then who knows, we can get back into the moving averages here for some more consolidation, and perhaps a lift off from there. But wait and see at this point. It is now 10:48. 11:24. Another update. Been stalking the ES and the XIV here for the past 40 minutes or so. Just got filled on XIV now, 1894. I actually like this break here of this downtrend. So we saw this downtrend here to the downside. We saw a break here to the upside on some fairly strong conviction. It's a wide range bar there. I bought the break of this bar, 1894, and my stops are 2 ticks below the low of this bar here. So I'm giving myself lots of wiggle room to get this one right or wrong. So my first target here, back again to, I'm just going to adjust my risk to rewards a bit here, because I'm down here at 76 is where my stop is at, and 94 is where my entry was. So just really adjust that to reflect it clearly. Okay, so there we are. So again, just the premise, we get a downtrend. As I mentioned before, once the 88 level got taken out, and that was right about here, right? So when that 88 level here got taken out, right there, we had some increased selling. It took it down all the way down to here. Finally saw some buyers step in around on these levels here, as we have some volume stepping in there, and now you have a bit of a break to the upside. Perhaps expect it now to consolidate a bit, because if you take a look on the higher time frame chart, we're still right in these moving averages. So we can expect a bit of consolidation here, and perhaps then a pop to the upside. That's what I would. Oops, I'm still looking at the 15 minutes. Sorry. Yeah. So right against these moving averages here, as we explained in a previous update, right into these moving averages, and now I really want to see a pop out of this area. So same thing with ES, same condition, right? The only difference here in the ES is that it's actually consolidating near the opening range lows. So long as those lows hold, then I think the intermediate bias is still to the upside. Okay, so long 1894, it is 11:26. 12:20, quick update. So still long XIV. Just a few things to talk about. So we had the descending trend line. Price went up, consolidated a bit, came back down as it couldn't break through the opening range high. We stayed in our trade, right? So I put my stop below this level of price action. So we were still long. Stop's 1874. Now, we drew another descending trend line here, and we've now popped out of this descending trend line. So this is a positive. So this point here, I expect this to now move to the upside. Same thing on our higher time frame. What's interesting to see in the higher time frame is that we had this nice consolidation bar right on the moving averages, which is exactly what we wanted, right? We've been talking about having consolidation right on the moving averages so that they could then pop out of that area. That's exactly what happened there. So this, is getting closer to your classic opening range break play here now, right? So we have consolidation right there happening right in the opening range high. So we could expect this thing to definitely move higher. 1920s is, I think, a reasonable target. That's, the highest from several days ago. If I just pull back a bit, it's a high from several days ago. 1, 2, 3 days ago. If you look at the ES now, we have a similar condition here where we had consolidation right on that opening range low. So it really looked like for a while there that had broken down, but the bears or the sellers were not able to push it down further, right? So we had a close below, but we didn't have a close below that low. And then the buyers basically took control again. So they bought this bar, they took out the highs of this candle, and buyers are back in control. So we'd expect the ES to get back to its opening range high, because that's where the XIV is. So that's what we're looking for right now. So I think, again, back to the XIV. First target for me is 1911. And that's where we begin to pull in our risk. 1222. Hey, quick update on the XIV trade. So we had a nice breakout out of this pattern here. We got up to about 2.5 R in this trade. I've now trailed to 1911, so whatever happens, I'm going to get plus 1 R in this trade. And at this point here, we're looking a bit toppy. So this is, this correction here is actually fairly aggressive. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get stopped out here for plus 1 R. So that would basically leave the day flat. We lost minus 1 R earlier when this setup here failed, and this setup here, we're currently we're in for plus 1.5 R. So just some insights here. So as we drew this descending trend line earlier, we broke here, and we broke out of this descending trend line. Well, actually here technically, right there. But this is a great entry right here, right? So I was not watching the market at this time. It was lunchtime. It was 12:13. I'm just in trade management mode. But just to zoom in here, so that's a classic early bird setup, right? So this one here, if I was around, and again, this is if stuff, because I don't trade the lunch hour typically. I'll take trades up till about noon, maybe 11:30, and this just be in trade management mode. Because I took this trade, if you recall, this trade I got long here at it was like 11:20. So but this here, had it set up at a different time, I would definitely be a buyer of this, because if you take a look, the risk to reward profile on this is exceptional, right? We're taking a small amount of risk, 7 cents risk, maybe a little bit slippage. Let's call it $19 to $18.90 would be the risk, so 10 cents, and then you have significant upside, right? So so from there, if you're just drawing the risk to rewards, this thing went up to 5R, right? If we had taken that entry there. So oftentimes it's a game of timing, right? To look for that low risk entry, I like to take a bit of higher risk, so we're going to get a smaller reward here. But these are the ideal rewards, risk to rewards we're looking for, right? So if I would have, if I would have used the 251 trailing stop approach, we would have got stopped out here after it came back in. We would have been out plus 4R on that trade, instead of being up plus 1.5 right now, plus 2.5 right now. So that's the way it is. That's trading. Unfortunately, you don't catch them all. But this, we got the direction right? Like that's exactly what we want to be looking for. Would hope that it can go a little further, but it's the market's getting pretty extended here. If you take a look at the XIV on the higher time frame, like this is not productive, right? This is not productive. I think this is not negative. For instance, here, we basically have a hammer that's very, very extended from the moving average. Price fills that quickly, right? The next bar, this is what happened. The next bar, someone actually bought the highs, on this bar here, thinking that it was going to continue going up. Unfortunately, at this point you have a lack of buyers when you have this type of condition. This is like an overbought condition. Sellers come in here, quickly overwhelm these weak longs, the guys who got in late, and they probably got stopped out in this mess here. Okay, this is actually productive. Here we're actually consolidating here now at the 1920 level, and the reason why that's productive is because A, it's right on the moving averages, so there we go, we have a nice little hammer forming, and B, this is a previous level of support. It broke above our resistance, it broke above that, now it's acting as support. So one extra confirmation. Let's take a look at the ES, exactly the same pattern, right? So ES came up, we broke above the opening range high, came back in promptly. Now this consolidation candle is playing out now. If we can see buyers step up, if it closes as a consolidation candle, if we can see buyers step up here and break the highs of this, then we could expect something to continue to move. But right now it's it's a wait and hold game. All right, 2:36. I will continue recording. All right, another update. 350, getting close to the end of the session. We're now at market high at intraday highs, trading at 1949. Like we updated in the past update, we were looking for some productive consolidation, right? The moving averages. That's exactly what we got. So, on a smaller time frame, you can really see it. We break it from here. We broke out of a nice little flag pattern there. I'm actually going to start to take profits here at 1946, or look to take profits at 1946, as we only have about 9 minutes left in the session, and it could squeeze a little further, but you know what, if I take up a +3 for the day, I think that is decent for how much time we have left. We could do a quick little push here to get some of the shorts, kind of squeeze them even more. But if I can get out here at +3, I think we're in a good place. Alright, so close the position at 1946. Right into some buying strength there, so I took the easy out there, 10 minutes, 8 minutes left in the session. Close that position down for, just around +3 target. So just, we're zipping up a few levels here just to review the trade and how it played out. And actually the one thing I never drew in on the XIV was the Fibonacci targets. But if we draw it in now, after the fact, as the market wiggles around for the last several minutes of the session. All right, so there's still some room for this thing to move. If we take a look here at the Fibonacci target, 1971 is a reasonable area for it to get to. Let's see if it has enough juice in it to do it today in the last 10 minutes. Now, interestingly enough, if you draw the fib targets, if you look here, and this is done after the fact, so this is not predictive here. We drew the targets or the lows from yesterday's session to the high of today's session, and we get the 1945 extension. So that's basically where I took profits, 1946. But I think this is actually more compelling. I think over the course of the next, in the next week, we can maybe hit the 1971 level at some point. I'm just looking at our ES trade here, or the S. We kind of we talked about before. We had some consolidation in this area, right below the opening range. A pop out of that. But now you can see here it's kind of running into some stiff resistance at this area here, which looks like a 1900. So a nice round number, 1900. 1900, you know, the 1900 area is acting as resistance for ES, and so, you know, this is a breakdown on a smaller time frame. Let's just zip out a bit here. You know, we can see the 1900 here really acting as that level of resistance. And, you know, just given how much time is left in the session, I wouldn't expect a lot to happen, especially on a Friday. Most people have probably, you know, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be willing to carry this position over the weekend that is going long. So I'd be very surprised if we don't start to see some longs lighten up here, because it is a bit of a risky venture to try to hold your longs over a weekend, just given the recent volatility. So pause the update here. We'll give it a few more minutes, and I'll make some more comments after the market close. Okay, so final update on the XIV trade. So we close it out at plus 3R in this trade. This trade ended up closing at 4 o'clock. It closed at 19.51. So we closed out at a good spot, you know, nice even spot there. Nice to get out early and watch the wiggles. You can hold on and grab a few more pennies out of that, but I think, you know, we got out at a great spot there. So plus 3R in that trade. Just one final thing to highlight. You'll probably notice like on the, well, I'll get that in a few seconds. But we highlighted that really the best trade of the day was the one setup that happened at 12.13, right? So this setup right here, once that broke out of that descending pattern, this was the best entry based on the amount of risk available, right? So we had this descending trend line here. We took this break out of that trend line. That worked out. The only issue with this trade is that we had to take a lot of risk, right? So we took about how much risk do you have to take on? 18 cents of risk, right, for that. Then this one set up about an hour later. Yeah, about 50 minutes later, and you only had to take on 7 cents of risk. So that difference resulted in a far different risk to reward profile, right? So we captured 3R in that move to 46. Had you got in there, right? We drew this before. Getting to the 46 target, well, it would have been a 7R trade, a plus 7R trade. And so, you know, that's the name of the game, right? Looking for low risk to reward trades. As I mentioned before, I don't trade these times. Sometimes trades set up in the noontime. Most of the time they don't. So I make the decision to trade how it trades most of the time, and not looking for, you know, these rare events. So sometimes, you know, you get some and you miss some, right? That's the trade-offs in trading, as it is in life. There are no, you know, right or wrong decisions. Simply trade-offs based upon the decisions you're taking. So just to wrap things up. Quick review. You know, right now it's just juggling around the after hours there. ES, you know, we talked about it there, right? Hit the 1900 level, and that guy left a doji pattern. Now it broke down a bit, and it's kind of wiggling in the after hours as people jockey. I'd be surprised if people hold their positions over the weekend. So I would expect to see a little bit more of a flush as people kind of sell off in the final minutes of the session here. Alright, sorry for the long video. It's about 24 minutes, but you know, this trade, it just took that long, right? We got in at 11:15, and it's now, you know, 4:10. So, and I was just managing that one trade. Alright, so we're up +2 for the day. We had that one loss in the morning for -1R, and then we just captured +3. It was, you know, again, a +2R day on, you know, again, fairly uneventful day. We didn't take a lot of heat on our trade. So pretty easy trading session. Hope this helps. Have a great weekend. Happy trading.